Hi again, everyone. I'm Anne, and I'll be presenting with Mark for this update. I will be doing the operations update, discussing availability, member-affecting issues, and maintenances, while Mark will discuss various aspects of the Equinix Slough redesign. Since the last LINX meeting, we've had high service availability and minimal service issues affecting, and lots of 9s and 100%, and we'd like to see those. Regarding service issues, there really hasn't been too much, so these may all just seem really minor, but we'll just go through them quickly. The first, we had an outage of our internal systems, and it lasted for a couple hours on the 31st of May. It didn't affect the exchange lands, but affected services like the portal, monitoring, and our ticketing system. In June, we had an issue with Wales, the root server RS1, CR1. It rebooted after a BIOS setting correction. Members who peer with RS1, CAR1 would have seen their sessions flat. And there was one service-affecting issue in July, where there were BGP flaps on LUN1, Edge 2, THN. There were spikes in traffic on a member's interface, and the member was moved to another FPC to correct the issue. Talk about upcoming maintenances. There's some upcoming maintenance work. The first is an ISL capacity upgrade, which will be happening tomorrow morning. It's at risk. We also have the Juno software upgrades to version 21.4R1-S2. We started in August, but they were delayed due to a potential software bug, and we had to wait for a patch from Juniper. It's been applied, and the upgrades we will recommence, I think, in the next couple of weeks. And just talk about our self-service MAC address changes quickly. We've started reporting on the self-service MAC address changes from our portal. One thing to note about that, though, it only allows one MAC address on a peering LAN report, so not the multiple ones like we used to have. You can see from the reporting that since we started doing it, it's gone up kind of all over the place. But in August, it was 64% of members changing their own. And now I will hand over to Mark for the project update.
Hi, my name is Mark, Principal Network Engineer at LINX. I'm going to give you a brief update on some network engineering projects that are currently being worked on. So the first is a redesign of the Equinix Slough site. On long run, Equinix Slough has been the site that's seen the most amount of recent growth with a substantial amount of 100 gig orders. Currently, long run members in Slough are split over 3 MX960s, 2 with enhanced backplanes to deliver 100 gig connectivity on MPC7 cards, and a third edge for 1 and 10 gig connectivity. The 2 edges used for 100 gig connectivity are now close to being fully populated. Each 100 gig edge has 600 gig redundant ISL capacity to both Telehouse North and Equinix Harbour Exchange, but the traffic between the 100 gig edges goes via Telehouse North and Harbour Exchange. We're currently seeing about 800 gig combined peak ISL utilisation out of that site. So the plan is to redesign the topology to enable future growth, both at 100 gig and 400 gig, and to ensure slow traffic is passed locally. In order to do this, we'll migrate all 100 gig members off both MX960s, replacing them with Nokia SR7Ss with 4.8 terabyte XNAs. This will significantly increase the amount of 100 gig ports available in addition to enabling 400 gig member capability at this site. Also, traffic will be switched locally with an additional ISL loop between the 1 and 10 gig capable switch. In addition, we'll increase ISL capacity for future growth to 1.6 tera. First by consolidating the 2 times 600 diverse from the existing MX960s, and then adding an additional 400 gig. So in terms of how we'll increase the ISL capacity, currently the 1.2 tera is being delivered over CNL wave servers, bypassing muxes. Plans to keep those wave servers in place, but replace the passive muxes with Smartoptics DCPM smart muxes. But a 400 gig additional capability will be using the DCP404 transponder card. That allows for 4 times 100 gig connectivity on the client switch side. 400 gig wavelength utilised on the line side that connects to the SMUX. Fibre distances from Slough to the Docklands has previously prevented us from using the SmartOp 600 gig Infi solution, as we're close to the 80k limit on both dark fibres at the site. However, using 400 gig ZR transceivers, we're now able to reach distances of up to 120k. In addition to this also allows us an easy upgrade path to utilising 400 gig pluggables directly in the switch when we move to 400 gig in the core. Just a bit more information on the Smartoptics DCPM for those that aren't aware. This is an active MUX that monitors traffic, so allows us to see when a dark fibre path has been degraded and amplifies the signal when need be. This allows for a significantly simplified solution whereby engineers don't have to worry about where to place boosters or preamps on a link, or if a DCEM is needed, for instance. This is currently deployed across Long 1 and Long 2 for 100 gig ISLs, currently excluding Slough. So in addition to upgrading capacity on Long 1 using the Smartoptics solution, we're also looking to do the same on Long 2, doubling capacity to 8 by 100 gig diverse, and adding an additional 7712 100 gig memory growth. Following on from this, we're also starting to evaluate the EdgeCore AS7946. This uses Broadcom Current 2 Silicon with 4 400 gig ports and 22 100 gig ports, and will be supported from ONOS 6.1 that's due in a few months. The plan is to use this as a short-term solution to deliver 400 gig member connections, with the first order expected in Slough later this year. Last thing I'll talk about is the Long 1 LSP topology redesign that's currently being worked on. So historically, as a result of load balancing issues on the PTX 5000 platform, ISLs run between switches that currently run as single links rather than legs. So we have 64 primary and secondary LSPs that are configured to each endpoint. That goes through each link in the ISL to ensure traffic for each link is utilised and balanced. At current, we have 26 edge routers in the network, and each edge has 3,200 LSPs configured. And the exception to this is the 2 Nokias that have 1,600 LSPs configured. This results in nearly 83,000 LSPs throughout the network. Fortunately, we have an in-house tool that enables us to generate those LSPs, but nevertheless, it creates additional engineering overhead, as every time an ISL is upgraded or downgraded, those LSPs need to be regenerated and deployed through a maintenance window. So as all PTXs have now been removed from the network, the restrictions on the lag is no longer there, so we plan to migrate all ISLs to use legs. This will significantly decrease the amount of LSPs on the network, simplify the design, and decrease the amount of LSP churn on the network in the event of the link collapse. All edges will now require only a primary secondary LSP to each remote edge, so that results in 50 LSPs on the network, 50 LSPs on each edge rather than 3,200. And the plan is to also apply to the Long 1 Slough redesign to make that migration easier.